Hello, beautiful human. I'm Zach. That's Dan. We welcome to the studio, Sofi Tukker.
Yo.
You don't need to wear it. You could do whatever you want with
I
those
can't decide.
things.
I do want to sit with the cat though.
Yeah.
That's okay. You can take the cat.
Okay, thank you.
The cat's very iconic. It's been around for a long time.
Super cool.
Yeah, many people have held the cat. Thanks for being here, holding it.
I need a snuggle today.
Yeah, it's a rough day.
Tough morning.
You could be watching this conversation at any point in history because these things last forever. But it is the day after the 2024 presidential election. And it's just a sad day, eh?
Yeah. I've been almost like mute. Like we woke up, we're doing a podcast today. We're like, oh gosh.
We drove
have
here
to
in
speak.
silence.
We very rarely do that, but.
So do you guys there's so much, yeah. Thank you for doing this.
No, thank you.
We're really happy to be here.
Thank you for having
us. It's nice to, shift the energy too.
But even when you're traveling, you guys stay together?
Yeah, we pretty much.
I mean, not in the same room.
Yeah, separate rooms.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I mean, we used to when we were.
It was like conjoining? Are you like a giant suite?
When we were like coming up and much smaller, we used to have to share rooms to save money. Early on, the first
God.
year or two.
Actually, this is really funny. I have these memories of us sharing a room, being in like two twin beds, and like we had this weird habit, both of us did, of waking up in the middle of the night and eating nuts.
What? No.
No,
did.
Tucker, you did too. And we would just like be like in darkness and silence, just like little like squirrels, like nibbling on nuts in the middle of the night.
No,
True. This is my
She would wake up early
hungry.
She would wake up early hungry and like be like fumbling with wrappers and things, and I would be like, "Shut up."
No, you'd be like, "Can I have some?" And we'd just sit in silence and eat nuts.
She might be remembering one specific weird time where we didn't eat enough dinner or something. It was tough.
We often didn't like eat proper meals, because we were just like on the go in a minivan and trying to figure it out. And
True.
So then we'd have to share rooms, and then we'd be in our little beds, and I just remember snacking in the middle of the night.
Yeah. We have tour buses now, and things are a little easier.
Full meals.
You guys have such an interesting relationship.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
But it's really special.
Very.
It is funny. We live together when we're not touring.
Yeah, your apartment's sick.
Thank you.
It's stunning.
Wait, if you've watched that video, do you remember the spaghetti moment? The spaghetti sculpture?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
It's horrible.
Basically, it's just become this big thing where people are either for the spaghetti or against the spaghetti. And I wanted to know whether you were for or against. But if you don't remember, then
Can you pull up an image of it so you can jog my memory?
It's the Caleb Simpson house tour on our Instagram.
It's great.
He's awesome. It was fun, but
I almost wore my spaghetti shirt today.
Yeah, fans have made us like merch for. I'm against the spaghetti.
And
it's an ugly piece of art, and I want to get rid of it. And Sophie loves it.
And so people have been showing up to our shows with signs that just say like Team Spaghetti. And someone just gave me a hat with a spaghetti on it.
Is it a valuable piece of art? Like, where'd you acquire it?
I see a picture. I'm kind of into it.
We're slowly.
Are you into it?
It just looks like a bowl of spaghetti with a floating fork.
I love this shit.
No, we're slowly making it valuable.
My guy.
You guys, this is called dopamine decor.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it's called gross.
Unfortunately, up close, it's a little disgusting because there's a lot of like I got it at a vintage shop, so there's a lot of dust on the spaghetti.
It's gross.
But from far away, it's just fucking hilarious and interesting to look at.
I think that, like, where'd you get that?
I got it at a vintage shop.
So it's not made by anybody you don't know?
No, it actually is. I forget what the
she
artist's name is.
A decent amount of money for that. And I was like, really?
Just curious. What's a decent amount of money these days?
Oh, yeah, it wasn't like a real piece of art money. I don't know how much you paid. More than you should have for that.
Definitely
a couple $1,000?
No, less.
It was.
But I definitely came home and I was a little embarrassed. But I felt emboldened by my decision to like do something interesting.
To spend half of my money on something I hate.
I honestly respect this.
Thank you.
One of the hardest things living with another person in my life is having to like buy something like a piece of decor and then justifying it or being nervous about my purchase because they're not going to like it. But it's like, fuck it makes me feel good.
Yeah, I need to go back into our history because I wonder if there was a conversation where I was sending a lot of the pieces that I was buying, and you were approving most of it.
I never saw that one. No way. No way.
So I don't know. I need to go and verify the facts here.
But it's really nice that you were going to him and seeking approval because it is, to be fair, it's your space and then you can go buy stuff and it's
Plus
still
I don't
want to
pay for all of it, so we're splitting it if
yeah,
it's our
she's
house.
asking me because I was paying for half of it.
I did get a really cool mirror on the same day, and you did approve that one.
So what's the deal? Do you just split? So what do you not split?
We kind of just split. We
what
have
do we
that
not
house,
split?
and we split a house
Other
in Florida.
relationships? Well, no, that's not entirely true.
We split friends.
We split friends. We don't split romantic partners.
No.
But is it a rule that romantic partners need to be able to be friends with the other?
It's
no.
It makes it really hard if I don't like who she's with or she doesn't like who I'm with. It makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Because we're always around each other.
But it's happened.
It makes it difficult. People definitely have to come into for girls that I've been dating, they're kind of getting into a somewhat of a relationship with Sophie if they're going to get into a relationship with me.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because you share everything.
We share most things.
How did you get to that? There's a difference between being creative partners with one another and then living with each other, owning numerous properties together. I mean, you do, that's called,
I think,
tangled.
Tangled.
We love being productive, and when we were earlier on in the band, before we lived together, the first 3 years we had apartments in New York and separate. And whenever we were home, we would be so much less productive because we weren't together. There's always interviews to do, music to be made, things to approve, ideas to just come up with. And when we're not together, we don't do any of that stuff. Or it's really hard to. Or we're on the phone all the time, or we're on Zoom all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not as productive, and it's not as stimulating.
Also, we do have a lot of friends in common, and our community is very shared for the most part. And so it's just more fun because then we have a clubhouse where everyone's coming over, and a lot of the people that we work with we're also friends with, or the people that we were friends with now we work with because we just like to make stuff together. So it's really fun to have a space where we're just everyone come over and we're just going to make stuff and scheme and have fun.
It's constant scheming with fun ideas and ways to build things, and it's just energizing.
That's a beautiful energy. Very productive.
Yeah.
Super productive.
And special. So do you feel your art gets better when you move in with one another?
Honestly, it's been so long at this point. We've lived together since LA, so that was
2018.
We've lived together for a long time. So it's hard to remember a time that we were not living together.
Although, of course we also like when we get a little time apart. It's like anything. So
yeah, I feel actually we're getting better at that.
I've been
Balance?
really productive lately when Sophie's not there. Just doing music things on my own, and then same with her.
Yeah.
Because then she'll make acoustic, music that I wouldn't want to make, she was originally a jazz musician when we met, and she was just playing acoustic guitar, bossa nova music, and I was a house music DJ.
And you met at a gig, right?
And we met at an art gallery that she was performing a jazz trio, and then I was going to do the after party. And so I saw her performing, and I was like, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like it. It's in this language. I don't even know what it is. It's beautiful, but it's kind of slow and boring for my taste. So then I was like, can I remix this? And then the first thing, before even knowing her name, I had the idea of let's turn this Portuguese worldly thing and just try to turn that into dance music and see what happens.
I mean, what are the chances that you'd end up at that gig and connect? And also, the skill sets complement instantly. So, right?
Yeah. No, we're definitely both good at what the other one's probably less good at.
Yeah, in more ways than, not just musical.
Yeah, I'm on time, she's late.
So,
Sure.
does he give off crazy energy when he's pitching you on this idea he had? He didn't even know your name. Does he,
No, it wasn't crazy. The other thing is the girl who was playing keyboards with me knew him already So like they already knew each other, so there was an intro there.
Yeah, we were in a music class together.
Yeah,
Shout out Bryn Bliska.
Yeah, shout out Bryn. And no, it was just like very simple. I didn't really think much of it. It was just like easy, you know? It just happened.
So, do you remember the first time you actually created something from nothing together?
Yeah, very well.
Something from nothing. The first time we ever did that was actually our first song, Drinkee, that like a year and a half later was nominated for a Grammy. It was crazy.
Yeah, we were in the studio. We were still in college. And Tucker was like, you know, acoustic guitar is cute and all, but I feel like you should definitely play electric guitar. I was like, I don't know how to play electric guitar. He was like, okay. We went to our friend's house. Actually, we knew both of them. Shout out Kai. And grabbed his electric guitar, brought it to the studio. And he was like, play. And I was like, go. And the first thing that I played was the Drinkee riff.
Yeah, and she was like picking it like a bass, basically. So it sounded sort of unique and different. And we were playing out of an old broken amp that sounded really weird and unique. We were just like,
and then I was like, oh, I have this poem.
Trying to make something weird and cool, you know?
Yeah.
We had no clue what we were doing.
And you had a poem?
Yeah, I had just met this poet who like came into my Portuguese class, and I met him and we did this cool thing where he would recite his poetry and then I would sing it back to him in a song. And so I was super excited about this poet and working with him. And I was planning on moving back to Brazil and working with him. And so when we were making this song, I was like, oh my God, I have this poem I've been thinking about using. And like, maybe I'll try it on top of this guitar riff. And I did. And then that's what became Drinkee.
And okay, so what stops you from going to Brazil?
Tucker. God damn it.
Is it this song in particular?
No, it was
the
really...
idea of being, making a band. I basically made the pitch to her right the day before graduation, I think, from Brown. I said, hey, move to New York with me. Let's start a band. I have these friends who, Ben and JPET from the Knox, and they had a studio in Chinatown. And they were like, we can work there at nights when they're not there. Let's go for it. Why not now, And she basically said no for like a week. And I just kept on, I was listening
persistent.
I was very persistent. And I kept on listening to her argument was basically, no, her parents are in education. And she was like, I have all this education. I don't want to do something selfish like sing and dance when I should be helping the world. And I heard her argument. So then I was like, okay, how do I use this against her?
How do I manipulate here?
And then I was like, look, if we do this, especially with the song we had made already, which was Drinkee, which was in Brazilian Portuguese, I was like, rather than go back, she was going to go and teach music and yoga in Brazil to kids, right?
Kind of. Like, I basically had a fellowship to go back to Brazil, and it was like kind of a starting off point, but I just knew I wanted to live there.
And she really wanted to make a difference. So I was like, look, if we do this and it works, you're going to have such a big platform to make such a bigger difference than if you're just going to try to make a difference. And I was like, we'll make it a real priority to spend time in Brazil to specifically do things that will like help the planet and help people. If we do this right, you'll have a way bigger impact on the world. And so that was the pitch that kind of had her thinking, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that you heard in what you guys were doing together that you knew you needed to do this?
I was full of shit. I don't know. I just wanted to do it, and I figured I can't do it without her. I thought, it was like 2 + 2 = 6 with us, It was like I was making music on my own, she was making music on her own, and it was whatever. I don't think either of us would have necessarily broken through or been able to do it on our own. But together there was something special. It was just I never heard it before. It was a weird, unique sound that we did think would be more sort of like underground and niche and like artsy, but we were excited about it. There was just something about it that felt like this could be something.
What is your attachment to Brazil?
It's a great question.
It's a great question. It is kind of bizarre because technically I'm not Brazilian and I don't have any Brazilian family.
Technically.
Are you like German, right?
Yeah, I was born in Germany and I went to international schools my whole life and I moved a lot. So I was always around people from everywhere. And I was always most attracted to hanging out with the Brazilians. And most importantly, I
wonder why.
No, not
The hottest people ever.
Not even because of that. I just felt like their energy matched mine. I just like really, in every international school I went to, I always like gravitated towards the Brazilians. But also the music was the thing that pulled me in. Like I just started to become really obsessed with Brazilian music when I was in middle school. And so I was just listening to a lot of Brazilian music, and suddenly I found myself in college just singing Brazilian music, and I was just not even interested in English because I felt like my voice sounds better in Portuguese, but I didn't know what I was saying. I just really liked the songs. And then I realized that I could take Portuguese in college, and I was like, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to take Portuguese because I like this music. I want to be able to know what it is that I'm singing. And then after I took Portuguese, I was like, well, now I know a language, so I guess I should do a study abroad program. So I went to Brazil, and the musical culture blew my mind.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's so beautiful. I mean, there's so many different genres in Brazilian music, but like the way that the role that music plays in Brazilian culture is just like how I want to live. Music is so important, and the average person is so good at music, so good at dancing, that like music is like in their bones. And it's just, it's celebrated in a way that I really am drawn to. And I just really like the music and really love the culture. And so the more time I've spent there and the more time I've spent like diving into Brazilian music, which I ended up studying in college, just like the more obsessed I am with it. And that ultimately it all comes back to the music for me.
So much of trends in music come from Brazil.
Yeah.
Like when you wonder like how do so many DJs know like what's going to be next and like where the world is going? It's because Diplo is siphoning off sounds from some little kid in his mom's basement in Brazil. He literally said it. He told us on our show. Like it's not bullshit.
Yeah.
Like you're right. It is. It exists within the people there. And it's coming from every nook and cranny. It's really interesting.
It's really interesting. And there's still so much I haven't discovered, that I want to go learn and just, it's so inspiring.
Yeah, we were there 2 years ago at Carnival in Rio. And after the parade ended, we ended up at this party that was just like baile funk music. And it was so mind-blowing. And it's not even the type of Brazilian music that Sophie likes, but I was so obsessed with it from that moment on that a lot of those sounds and that inspiration made it into our newest album from that specific night. And it was sort of fun for me because I got to bring in Brazilian influence from my side of the half. Mm-hmm. Which is usually all the Brazilian stuff's usually coming from Sophie. So it's even spread to me.
Yeah.
Before we get into bread, can you talk about how your job is divided in the studio? Like who's responsible for what and how often are you guys crossing over those responsibilities?
It's different for every song, but usually Tukker is more the producer, at the computer, and usually I'm more the songwriter at the guitar and sort of lyric melody piece of it. But we're constantly giving each other feedback, and every single decision that we make, we both have to be obsessed with.
Yeah. We try not to ever, well, I don't know. We always used to say that we never compromise.
Do you think we've been compromising?
No, I don't think we've been compromising. No, we don't compromise at all. But we sometimes try to convince each other. Like if I feel really strongly about something and she's not totally sure, and then sometimes she'll come around.
Yeah.
But it's more like lobbying for a case.
Yeah, you have to get good at standing by your decisions. Yeah. And if you do a good job convincing the other person, then it stays.
Yeah. I've always thought about it
You're like this hi-hat is going to change your life.
I've always thought about it as a puzzle piecing together because when we started, it was only us. And now we work with some amazing songwriters, some other producers that we collab with. And we really are excited to meet other people. And people have so many specific things that they're better at than us, and that's been fun to try to navigate and still keep it like very us. But when we started, it was just us. Like when we made Drinkee and the whole first EP and everything, it was just us, and it was really like puzzle piecing things together. Like we'd have an idea, and then it was like, okay, how do we get there? Because neither of us are like amazing musicians. Like we can figure out how to do everything, but we're not, we didn't go to Berklee Music School. We aren't classically trained. We're not reading music. Can you read music?
Depends.
I can't really read music, but we always just like puzzle pieced ideas and had an idea and then figured out how to get there. So it was sort of like a fun puzzle.
So what is it now, right? Like, are you writing to production? Are you coming in with lyrics? Like, and how big is the room that you guys are working in?
Again, it really depends on the song, because we've worked in rooms with a lot of people now, and I think we've gotten better at doing that. Like at first when we started working with collaborators, I think we were like, oh, you know better than us. You're the real musician in the room. So we'd kind of be like, okay, we're following your lead. And then we'd end up with something and be like, meh, whatever.
No, but they're really there to follow you guys.
Yeah. So
Right.
now I think we're actually a lot
We wouldn't even
better.
always be like, wow,
No, we
whatever. Sometimes we'd be like, wow, this is amazing. We could have never done this ourselves. And then a few months later, we'll be like, but it just doesn't
feel like us.
Like Sofi
That's
Tukker,
the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not that it's not, good. It just doesn't feel like us. Anyway, so I think now we are a lot better at sort of facilitating and guiding, even if there are other people in the room, and kind of figuring out where our compass is the whole time. But what your question was how what is it like in the room?
But also, like, how are records being written? Are you writing to production? Like, will you give her a beat?
No.
Or?
So I really don't like top lining, as in I don't like when like there's a finished track and then I sort of like add lyrics and melody. I much prefer both of those.
I don't know if we've ever done that, really.
No, I like a couple times actually. I was thinking about it, like even with Brazilian Soul. Technically, there was a track.
Yeah, true.
But then we changed the track. Anyway, the point is I really like it when both of those things happen together. I just feel like the writing, the lyrics, the melody, they have to coexist with the production happening at the same
sort
time.
of comes
That's
back
my favorite.
to us like living together and sort of constantly creating together rather than separately and bringing it together.
But we will, like, separately, he'll be like collecting samples or like collecting beats, and I'll be collecting lyrics, collecting melodies. And then when we come together, we're like, okay, here's kind of like my word bank or like my beat bank.
Yes.
And then we kind of figure out what we both like.
So the lyrics or the melody set the tone for the record?
Not always, no. Sometimes it's like he'll bring something up like a sample and I'll be like, oh, this kind of reminds me of this idea I've been thinking about, and like I have this one line I've been really wanting to use. How about this? And then it's like, oh yeah, this clicks, and those two things kind of work together, and then that's when it will spark something.
What's the biggest difference between like Treehouse and Bread? Creatively in your process?
I feel like we're way more comfortable with knowing who we are and what we want to say, and I think sonically it sounds way better. Like I think we've learned a lot and gotten better at making music, and
making melodies and
yeah. I personally think when I listen back, like there's definitely something special about the rawness and the what we didn't know how to do back then that I think is always interesting. But I personally just think they're better songs. I think it sounds better. It's like literally more pleasing to the ear. Like the mixes are better. And yeah, we definitely went more Brazilian on Bread than Treehouse.
Yeah.
Also.
Now, how about Wet Tennis to Bread? I mean, two acronyms.
Two acronyms?
Yeah, Wet Tennis to Bread. Well, we wrote Wet Tennis while we were in lockdown, mostly. And so a lot of the songs are more subdued and less, like, bright, ecstatic songs.
Reflective of the moment.
Yeah. So that's one of the main differences. And, you know, we were like in our house in Florida rather than like in the studio in Sao Paulo and Rio. So the geographical piece of it, I think you can hear too.
Yeah.
So you did bread in Brazil?
Most of it, yeah.
A lot of it.
Oh shit!
Yeah, yes, a good amount of it.
How long were you there for?
A few months. I mean, the songs, we started most of the songs probably not in Brazil.
They were all sporadic, kind of.
Because we're
over
always
a long period
touring.
of
We've
time.
basically been touring for besides the pandemic, for like 8 years almost. And we're out on the road like 10 months a year, basically. So most of them have been all over the place. You know,
Yeah.
hotel rooms, buses, green rooms, and then some studios when we need to actually record vocals or guitar and stuff.
And that's what you did in Brazil.
And we did some of that in Brazil.
Yeah, we worked with a really cool producer in Sao Paulo too, who just added a lot of like really authentic like samples and rhythms that we just never could have done.
Yeah, it was really cool. We were basically like 90% done with the whole album, and each song was almost there. And then we went to Brazil, opened up every song with this guy, Marcio Arenches, who's an awesome, like, mostly baile funk Brazilian producer. And we were like, what would you do here? And then we would, like, try stuff, and then we'd take a little piece of it here and there, and it would just add this authenticity and, like,
Vibe.
Yeah. It made it a lot better. And I think on an album like Treehouse, we would have just called it done without doing that extra step. Like, we wouldn't have pushed it further.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Well, let's start with Woof. You guys said that song took years to make.
Yeah.
Woof started in LA like
In LA, really?
before the pandemic. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, on La Brea.
What?
I remember the day. I remember
Really?
the day. Yeah. It was me, you, and Bynum in the studio. It used to be Ultra Studio on La Brea. And it's like that wooden room
Wow.
with the leather couch.
No way.
Yeah. I actually have negative memory. They call me a goldfish, but for some reason, I remember that day.
Wow.
It was probably 2018, 17.
Yeah.
Like a long ass time ago.
Holy shit.
We just never figured it out, but we had the vocal from that for so long, and we were like, there's something special about this. And then we finally figured it out.
Yeah, we made like 3 different versions of this song, and every time it just wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
And actually, like, a lot of people became really attached to previous versions of it.
Because we'd play them in our live stream. During the
Yeah.
pandemic, we live streamed DJ set every day, and we did like 300 days in a row. And we would basically workshop songs we were working on in the daytime in these live streams, and people started getting attached to some of the versions of the songs, and they would keep changing. It's sort of interesting.
How'd you get to the version that we have today? And how different is it between what we got now and the original?
Fully different.
It's really just the vocal that stayed the same, but like the BPM was completely
The
different.
original was like 92 BPM.
Yeah.
This one's 122.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But then there was a version in the middle that was 135
35.
or
Yeah.
132 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa.
Totally different songs.
It was actually, it was because, what was it? Basically, I had the vocal as an acapella, and we were in a DJ set, and I was sampling it. And I was sampling it on top of something that kind of now sounds like what it is. And we had just never heard it in that context. And we were like, whoa, Woof really works like this. So that's why we brought it back up again after kind of giving up on it.
So just by chance, really?
Yeah.
How do you set up your DJ sets? Like, how much? I mean, it's all planned and choreographed?
No, not at
No.
all.
Our live show is, like, we're on the Bread Tour right now, which is our live show. So that's
Different.
a lot. Yeah, it's a live concert. We have 4 dancers. We have crazy production. Sophie's playing guitar, singing. I'm singing, playing bass, sampling. And then the DJ set, which is like what we do at our residency in Las Vegas and other club shows or some festivals that are like DJ festivals, it's a DJ set. So we never really know what the set is going to sound like. It's we're really DJing live and reading off the crowd and stuff. But when we do play our songs, there is choreo and there is things that we do specifically. And then Sophie has a sampler, like she was talking about, where she has all the acapellas of all our songs and other like random samples and acapellas, sometimes from like random pop culture things. Like she could have your voice from a podcast that she could just have on her sampler, and like if you have some funny thing you said, she could just be putting that in over the song while we're like
That's cool.
DJing.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It keeps it fresh.
Yeah, and you can do anything with it. You can like chop it up and pitch it around and kind of like put it in different parts of the song and have it in. Yeah, it's fun.
But also like could lead to an actual
and
release
often
of a
it
record.
does.
Yeah.
Often it does. Yeah.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much value in those DJ sets. Like, and it's also a skill to be able to read people and shift and move the flow of music based on, like, dude, a lot of it's psychology.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest values from feeling like being able to do that comes in the studio when we're making songs.
Mm-hmm.
Or even when we're doing the track listing for the album. It's like, okay, if we have them feeling this way, where, what's the flow of the whole thing? Or even within one song, does this give the energy to get people dancing? And like knowing those things from being in person and doing that for so long, I think informs a lot of decisions in the studio.
It's pretty cool. By the way, you can listen to Brett. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. There's a link below. Why the acronyms?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I like it.
Literally.
I think Brett is really creative. Also, the runtime of the album is like 34 minutes. It's it moves at the right speed. It's the right amount of fluidity. It's cool. And like, I don't know, it leads to really cool visuals. The bread dress is phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of the first random ideas we had. We were like, what if we just call the album Bread? We're like, oh my God, I definitely want to wear a gown made of bread.
But does it start with the acronym? Like,
No.
do you like, or do you work?
It started with the song, and we had this list of songs, and actually we had a different working title, and we were like 2 weeks away from the album campaign shoot and all of these things, and both of us were just kind of feeling like something wasn't right and something wasn't clicking. And
we weren't excited enough about it.
Yeah.
Like when we're really excitable people, so when we feel like we have a good idea or like we get really, really excited about it. And we weren't really, really excited about it. We were like, it's good.
Yeah, it was missing that like inertia.
What was it?
We actually have never said what it was.
We've never said it out loud.
And I think we'll never.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind saying it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really care.
Oh, okay.
Is that going to take away all the power from it if I just say it?
I don't know.
Should I say it?
I don't really care.
Do you want it?
I mean, yeah, sure.
He wants it.
Well, it was kind of a continuation from Wet Tennis because we were trying to be cheeky and we thought it would be interesting. So it was going to be Wet Dream.
Bread's better.
Bread's way better.
Yeah.
Bread's just better.
But it also feels like its own standalone thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the reason that we wanted to change it is because we didn't want it to be a continuation.
Right.
Like, it just felt like this entire universe in and of itself that didn't need to be connected to anything else.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so we were in São Paulo at the time, and we were both like just revved up about it, just not knowing what to do. And then we looked at the track listing, and just the title "Bread" as the song just kept popping out at us. Because people would look at the track listing and just be like, what's that? And then we were like, wow, bread is really profound, because bread is something that people all around the world gather around to come together.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that gives you pure energy. And we're like, that's exactly what we want our music to do. So then the acronym came after, where we were like, why don't we just give it an acronym? Be really energetic and dance. Yeah, let's go.
So good.
It was
just
like
simple. And it all just started working and falling into place. And then we were like, all the like puns with bread and like, all the like stupid dad jokes and all the funny art, and we can build like a candy land but with bread. And like we were just like, man, it's coming so easily, it must be a decent idea. Sometimes hard ideas feels like you're like trying to open a door that doesn't want to open, but then when it's a good idea, it's just like the floodgates.
Flows.
And so all these ideas just came to us. We called our managers and we were like, you're going to kill us, please just listen to us, hear us out. We're going to change everything. I know there's a lot of money being spent on this, but like, please hear us out. And no one pushed back. They were all like, it's a better idea. And we just ran with it.
The better ideas just need to win.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
How do we convince Heidi Klum to get in the Spiral music video?
Oh my God. She's amazing.
It wasn't tough.
No, she was dancing to.
No, she's the homie.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, we met at Fashion Week, and I was born in Germany.
Years ago.
And a few years ago, and we started speaking German, and language is one of those things that immediately connects people, and I think immediately you're like, you get it, we get it,
She loves hanging out with Germans and loves speaking German, so it was.
Are you talking about me or Heidi?
Heidi.
Oh yeah.
Sophie's like that with Brazilians.
I am like that with Portuguese. Yeah, it's just this instant thing, especially like we were in Paris at the time, and it's just kind of random and a nice way to connect with someone. Anyway, and so we just kept in touch, and it turns out she had already come to our concerts before, and she posted a video dancing to our song Jacare, and we were like, Heidi, oh my God, like you're such a good dancer. Please, can we do a music video where you're dancing? Because this is so captivating. And she was like, yeah, but only if you're in it too. So we were like, okay. What song? And then we just thought Spiral would be really fun. It's kind of this 90s throwback vibe. Why don't we do like this, girls sleepover? And it just happened really quickly and really naturally. And she is a joy in every way. She's amazing.
She seems like she has the best energy.
She has the best energy.
It's crazy.
And she does. She supports Germans.
She really does.
We've had like guests on our show before who are also German, and like the seal of approval from Heidi Klum is a big one. And like she rides with them. Like they get the Halloween party invite every year.
Yeah. Yeah, we played it last year.
She's a real one.
She's
awesome.
She's a super real one. She also had us we performed on the German's Next Top Model finale with Sabrina Carpenter like a month after we did the song together, or the video together.
Sick.
She does ride with you, God,
it's a real, like, dude, real one.
Also, we had the shoot went like way over. It was super long day, and she could have been a diva about it. Like it wouldn't have been crazy. I wouldn't have thought twice. And she was so amazing the whole time. Probably the best energy of anyone there. And we were like kept her late. She was dancing in little heels all day. She was just like
encouraging us to be our best.
And it was crazy. I was like, damn, if she's not acting like a diva in this situation, no one should ever be a dick. Ever. It was crazy.
Hey, homie.
Yeah.
Great song.
Thank you.
It's about your relationship, right?
No, actually, not
What?
at all.
Yeah,
we kind of. So the tea is.
Did you like throw people off with that story? Because I thought I read something.
We threw people off.
We definitely threw
The tea
people
is that we wrote that song actually about relationships that we had in our individual lives, and when we were making the music video, we tried to make this like really abstract video about those relationships. The ones that like they don't really. They're just not quite appropriate in this lifetime for whatever reason.
Yeah, we had specific things going on, both of us separately, with people that there was something more there.
But we felt like it just was not going to work out.
But like for whatever reason, whether it's, they're in a relationship, they have kids, they're at different places in their life, ages are different, something that was stopping it. So we just basically are close friends, and we're like, we wanted to make a song about that type of relationship and sort of say like, it's okay to value those relationships even if they don't go there, even if you don't end up sleeping with them, or even if you don't end up being in a relationship with them, it's still an important relationship to you, because I think there's like that type of relationship is very infrequently written about.
Oh yeah, and by the way, most of those relationships like they end badly. So like you don't really like harbor like positive energy for those people.
Yeah, it depends on the relationship for sure. But basically, we went to make the music video, and we were trying to make it about what the song was about. But when we saw the cut of the music video, it just didn't read. It just was too confusing because, you know, we're two different people, and there were all these relationships in our lives, and it didn't make sense, basically. And so we tried
even
to
had
save
one
the
of my
music
exes
video.
in the video.
Yeah.
Like as one of like this little vignette about like someone who, you know, the timing or the it just doesn't work right, but I still have love for them. But it was funny. We were really trying to make the point that it wasn't about us,
Yeah.
and we overdid it.
Yeah,
We
so
tried too
then-
hard. It didn't work. So then we made.
So you just go the opposite
we
direction?
made it about us.
Well, I think also we didn't want to be like, I don't want to overexpose my private life either.
Totally.
And so we didn't want to be like, okay, well, let's just make it more specific rather than so abstract, because then it was too personal. And then we were like, well, we just
I
want it
would
to
have
be
made it
touching.
specific. I was down. I was. I was down.
I could feel
I was
the
down.
look.
I was down to make the whole video about my specific scenario with this woman.
Yeah, you
but-
put your ex in the video.
But Sophie,
Yeah, Tucker
no,
loves
this would've-
overexposing himself. Me less so.
Sophie was not down.
No. Anyway, it just, we wanted it to feel warm and like loving, and we wanted that. And then we were like, you know what? We don't really often celebrate our relationship, but let's just do it. Let's like be sentimental about it. And then when we watched it back, we were like, this is just lovely. I love this.
It's like a sweet, wholesome thing.
Yeah.
But it's not saying that, you know, there's this tension between us, or that like
No.
there was ever anything more than friendship, because in our specific case there wasn't. But so the song's kind of about something else than the video.
Got it. Interesting. You still have one of the most special like friendships I've ever witnessed. Like you clearly enjoy each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. It's very siblingy. Like
Convincing.
we'll bicker.
No, it is. I said to him actually 2 days ago, we were on the tour bus. I forget exactly the quote, but it's like the strongest of intimacies are created behind the strongest of boundaries or something. Like we have a lot of boundaries, even though we,
Yeah.
you know, hang out a lot. And
We
so
don't like
we do
touch.
have like, there's something
what?
about.
We don't touch.
You don't hug?
No
We
hugging.
literally don't even hug.
No.
It's crazy.
But I do think like that.
And we're both like touchy with other friends.
It creates, I think, in the same way that in a family relationship or in a sibling relationship, there is something like you can create a type of intimacy that is
I get
really
it.
different. And I think that's the case with us too. Like we care about our shared goal so much. And because of that, like, you know, we can get into fights and we can like go through all sorts of things and sort of get through it because we care more about our shared goal than about being right about a certain thing or being, I don't know.
And we're pretty on
The
the
fight.
same page about the goal.
What is it? What's the shared goal?
Sofi Tukker.
Say it at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's building up this special community and this special thing that is it's like Sofi Tukker and what's around it, and we're not always motivated by the same things. We don't always necessarily want exactly the same specifics, or like we're not being driven necessarily by the same things, but the final goal is it's always pretty in line, which is building it, making people's days better than they would have been if we didn't exist, ideally, and loving what we do. And if we love what we do and we can really show that on stage and even on the internet, and you know, that's contagious, hopefully, I think.
By the way,
Is that in line?
Totally, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it is real. I mean, the whole thing is interesting. Like you have one larger goal, but your individual motivators are different, right? Like why do you make music, for you or other people?
Do you want to answer that first?
Sure.
I feel like I have to think about it a little more.
I wonder if you have different answers.
I definitely make music because I love making music. There's no question about it. Like, I make a lot of stuff that no one ever hears. But like if I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling upset, like after this election, I probably need to go just like make music, honestly. And so I know I do it for myself. I love people's reaction to it though. That definitely fuels me as well. And like if I make something and then we test it out the same day in a DJ set, which is really fun that we can do that because we DJ as well as our live show. Like if the reaction is really good and I see people loving it or really excited about the idea, that definitely tickles me. So I'm not saying I only do it for myself, because I think, making something out of thin air and then getting like a real reaction from people is so cool. It's just like a fun, cool thing. I just love doing it.
Yeah, I actually think our answers are very similar. Like I also, would make music no matter what I did. I've always made music my whole life. It's my form of self-soothing and just I enjoy it. And then it's just motivating to have people respond to it and love it, and then see in it what you hope they see in it, and then see in it things you didn't even expect for them to see in it. And then it just like brings out this whole other part of it. It's we just really like making music. And
this would be a really hard job if all you cared about was what other people thought, or like if you made it for other people, because the only times I've ever been bugged that if someone doesn't like something we make is if I'm not totally sure I love it.
Yeah.
Like if I love something like Bread, I think that's the best work of music we've ever made. I love every song. Like Bread is my favorite album this year as a consumer of music, and I love music. And I feel so good about that. So if someone says anything negative, and luckily I haven't really seen much negative, but if someone says something negative about it, it doesn't faze me at all because I love it. So like, of course it's not going to please everyone, and I'm not going to have the same taste as everyone, and that's fine, because for my taste, I love it. But if we make something that I'm not totally sure about and someone says something about it,
you're like, you're right.
That'll kill me.
Yeah.
I'll be destroyed.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'll be like, they're right. Fuck, we didn't stick to like who we are.
When has
Like-
that happened?
It's happened once or twice.
It's happened a few times. It's interesting because also like time goes by and things like our taste changes, the world's taste changes. So it's hard to compare to earlier music, because at the time it was exciting and I loved it, and I don't feel like I wouldn't unrelease it now, but it's not something I would be proud of making right now. And I think that's just being an artist and coming to terms with like learning as you go and figuring it out. Like we were making the best thing we could at the time.
And we were also taking risks and being like, what if we expand the definition of who we are by going in this direction? And then we go in that direction. And then a couple of years later, we look back and be like, there's a reason we pivoted away from that.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, like we put something out there and then you see how it feels. And not just how people react to it, but like how you feel with it.
Yeah.
Because like one of the most important things when we're making something is showing it to friends or a manager or people in our world. Because like if I show you a song that I made yesterday for the first time, I look at it differently when I'm watching you listen to it. Because then I hear where the holes are more. I'm like, okay, this part's boring. He's losing, his interest in it now. Like I need to chop this section in half because it just feels uncomfortable. But I wouldn't think of that if I was listening to it only on my own. So it really helps.
Interesting.
Yeah, like it put myself in your shoes when you're hearing it for the first time, and that tells me so much.
But you also don't want to it's different for everybody, right? Like art's different. So like,
Yeah. And that's really fun to play with when you have something, is to show it to different types of people and feel yourself feeling it through them.
wild.
And often, there's a different experience of everyone who's.
I don't know if everyone
hears
does
it.
that who makes music. You do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also think it's because we DJ a lot. So we're always putting ourselves in the brains of people who are listening to the
I'm
music.
telling you.
And I don't know if everyone does that or not.
It's a very powerful thing being able to DJ. Like a lot of those rules and that skill set is applied in the studio. That's why DJs are really some of the greatest musicians ever, and why they have the longest career of relevancy. Like think about it.
I don't know
Tiesto's
if it's
crazy old.
necessarily musicians, but they're the best A&Rs ever.
Well, I think that's really it. Not
what
musicians,
I
but it's
mean?
A&Rs. Yeah, it's dude, sourcing of sounds
Yeah.
and like understanding, and then also hearing potential in anybody's voice, not necessarily a superstar.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Tiesto is a great example of that.
I mean, dude,
Totally.
he's been around since.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like they invented music.
And still having his biggest years.
They.
It's crazy.
Crazy,
It's
right?
crazy. Also, super nice guy.
Incredible human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think matters also for sticking around.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
he's also somebody who doesn't gatekeep like that and takes people who are kind in the next generation under his wings and like
Right.
doesn't like, dude. Some people could be real dicks and assholes, and like he was just the. I mean, Martin Garrix is such a product of just him being around Tiesto. Like it's great. It's the way the world should be.
Tiesto and Heidi Klum,
Tiesto and Heidi Klum.
Real ones.
real ones.
The Dutch and the Germans.
You can listen to Bread. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. It's there, just chilling. You throw some ass, Dan?
I definitely can. I wish I could.
Does dancing really fix your chronic back pain?
Yeah, it does.
So that's a real narrative.
It is a real narrative. Well, it's a little more complicated than that, but essentially, like, I was having really bad back pain, and I was trying everything, and I did find that every time so we basically have this choreography where I have to throw ass, and I'd never
What
done
does
it
that
before.
even mean? The fuck?
Like literally, like
You're
imagine.
so not Brazilian for asking that question.
Yeah, our dancer
You're so
Lucas
right.
Hive, he's a choreographer from Brazil, and he was teaching everyone how to joga bunda, how to throw some ass. And I was like, I can't do this. My ass doesn't move that way. I'm so uncomfortable. No. And he just, he encouraged me, coaxed me into it, and then here I am. I'm throwing ass at Coachella.
So the
And-
reality is like you just like unlock new muscles in your body.
Well, not only new muscles, but I think the most important part, actually scientifically, is I unlocked new neural pathways.
Oh, whoa.
Because I was really in a place where I was feeling very contracted and very scared, because I was like, oh my God, if I do this, I'll be in pain. If I do this, I'll be in pain. I'm in pain. I don't know why. I'm in pain. Da, da, da. I was just so contracted around this idea of pain. But then when I was throwing my ass, I just felt ridiculous. I was having fun. I was just enjoying myself. And so I wasn't thinking about the pain. And actually, that's really, really good for pain psychology.
Yes.
Is it you're telling your body, I'm safe, I'm happy, we're good. And that actually really helped rewire my brain away from chronic pain.
Damn.
Yeah, it's that part of it is real for sure.
So do you write that record after you've cured your pain, or
No, I was actually
in
kind
process?
of in pain when I wrote those lyrics. But I was like, you know what? At least there is one thing that when I'm doing it, I'm not thinking about the pain and I'm not in pain.
Throwing ass.
Throwing ass.
How do you feel the morning after performance?
Usually, well, it depends. At the moment, I've actually been without pain for a year.
That's awesome.
So phenomenal. I mean, I feel amazing. But even
not only from throwing ass.
no, not only from
Let's
throwing
not
ass.
give people the wrong idea.
You go to a chiropractor?
She's doing a lot of things to help her back.
Yeah.
Yoga?
No, actually, I'm hyper flexible.
She was
So
yoga was bad. for
yoga
her.
is not
Oh,
great for
wow.
me.
By the way, that is a very real thing.
Yeah. So I do like a lot of strength training, and I keep myself very strong.
Wow.
That's like one of the main ways. But the other way is you can't just be strong. You also have to be like relaxed at the same time.
Damn. Are you double jointed or just hyper flexible?
No, just hyper flexible. I used to be a yoga teacher.
Oh, wow.
I was in love with yoga. I mean, I like really enjoy the practice. It's just not great for me
Yeah.
on a physical level.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Aren't you guys both ex-athletes who suffered injuries?
I was, yeah.
Tucker doesn't like to say that I'm an athlete because I was not on the same level.
Well, she played.
I consider myself an athlete,
sports
but
when everyone else played sports.
yeah,
She
I was
played till
not a
she was
D1.
like 15. That's not
I
a-
was not a D1 sports.
That's fair.
You
Yeah,
wouldn't
like-
call yourself like a
Were you
athlete if you stopped playing at 15.
were you on a rec team?
When
She
I
was
was
like
15,
on a travel team soccer. She was like a good soccer player, but like you were
like
really
I would
young.
say I was an athlete. I was an athlete until college. but I wasn't.
Till college? Did you play your last 2 years of high school?
I did, but not super seriously.
Did she? It's just not respecting how hard I worked in sports for her to say she's an athlete.
Fair.
I played basketball.
Tucker is a real athlete,
basketball
but yes,
till
I've
I
had a
was
lot of
22.
injuries.
I was working out with professional teams, and my life probably would have been a professional basketball player, probably marginal pro, and then I would have played in Europe most likely. But I ended up getting mono in college my junior year, and had to leave school for a year to keep my eligibility. And anyway, physically, I had a lot of inflammation problems after that, and I could never really be the same. And I was in bed for like 7 months when I was sick, and that's when I like wanted to be productive but didn't have the energy to do anything. So I just watched YouTube and learned how to make music on my computer because I had wanted to. So I didn't even start making music till I was like 22.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was late to the game.
Mono took you out.
Mono really took me out. My body couldn't make it dormant, so I just had it for like 8 months.
Holy shit.
And then it turned into like chronic fatigue syndrome, which is just an umbrella term for like, we don't know what's wrong with you, but you're tired and inflamed.
But ultimately would change your life, would you say, for the better?
Completely. Yeah, I'm
dude.
so glad. Right now I'd be like retiring, figuring out what to do next, starting over an entire life.
No, life. I mean, dude, life for people
It's hard.
who do not make it in the NBA is,
It's hard.
yes.
No, it's really hard.
Yeah. Making no money playing for a European team or a team in somewhere in Asia.
Totally.
Like spending half the year there.
Just to keep the dream going, and I wouldn't have developed other skills. There's so many things that I'm so happy it happened. It was a tough time because when you're an athlete like that and your whole identity, your whole life has been an athlete. Like I was a jock, I was a basketball. Everyone knew me as I was the captain as a junior. Like it was my thing. And then to all of a sudden not have that identity anymore, it was crazy. It was really hard. But to do that in your early 30s or something would be way worse.
Totally.
So it was a crazy thing, but I've always wanted to like talk to athletes as they're ending their careers, whether it's like Division I or college players or even like professional players.
Like short-lived
ending their
NFL
careers,
players,
because
there's so many.
It's crazy. And you really don't develop other skills because, you're nationally ranked from when you're like 12 years old and everyone treats you a certain way. And, I didn't have jobs and because I was playing in like pro-ams and working out every day and in summertime.
But then like why music?
I just had like a love for it. I was always the dude making like the mixtapes. I like made the, run out songs for the team in the arenas. Like it was just like I just loved finding new music and showing friends, and I just had a weird inkling that I loved doing it, and I always wanted to try, and I never had a second because I was just playing. I'd wake up at 4:30 and run stadiums, and then go lift, and then go to breakfast, and then go to practice, and then go to class, and then go back to the gym. Like I didn't have time for shit. You don't have time for shit when you're like a Division I athlete. It's crazy. You miss out on a lot.
But you gather a lot of skills that I'm sure you use today, right?
So many. I really think what I brought from all that, bringing that mentality, bringing it into Sofi Tukker, I think has definitely been like an amazing driver of like sort of just intensity, competitiveness, hard work that I don't think you can get otherwise. Like I had like a grown-ass man yelling in my face since I was 12 years old. That does not happen unless in any other thing in the world, really. It's not appropriate. It's weird when you think about it. But I can really take criticism. I can really not be fazed by stuff. Like there's a lot of things. You can work physically to the point of much further than most discomfort.
How soon after you have mono do you guys meet?
So I left for a year, came back the year after, and had this new passion of music, started taking some classes in it, and I still played one more year of basketball that I was kind of in and out. And then it wasn't till the next year that my doctor said you have to stop playing basketball. So I had the summer before senior year. So I had one more year of school, and basically I was like, how do I make this new passion of mine, music, into a career somehow? Because I had thought my whole life I was going to keep playing basketball. So I had no clue what to do. And I was like, okay, I should start DJing, I guess, because that's the only way I could make this into money, maybe. So I just started DJing. And then halfway through senior year, I met Sofi. Because I became like, after the first week of school, I DJ'd my first party at like the swimmer's house. And people thought it was good, so I got asked to do more and more, and I just had a DJ controller and like a big speaker that I just kept in my apartment, and people would call me at like midnight and say like, hey, we're going to have a party, and I'd go and play till like 8 in the morning.
Jesus.
And I just did that a lot, and it started getting called more and more, and like that became my schooling, honestly.
And did you really know what you wanted to do outside of just going to be in Brazil with a poet?
Kind of. I mean,
Sounds so weird to say.
No, it does sound weird to say. It's clear to me now, looking back, that all my life, all I've ever really wanted to do is sing and dance. Because I even, like, we were at a show the other day, and there was a friend of mine from college who came. She was like, I remember you going to a James Blake concert. Like, we went together, like, even my sophomore year of college. And she said, you looked at the stage and you said, like, I want to do that. And so even before I had consciously decided that that's what I wanted to do, because I was like, I couldn't have the audacity to say that that's what I wanted to do that loudly.
You knew.
I knew. And, you know, even I've always just loved to sing and dance. Like, that's just been my favorite thing ever. But I was training and studying a lot in conflict resolution, and that's something else that I really enjoy and I really like. So I thought maybe I would be like a diplomat or like
cool.
like I was a mediator in court. Like, I would go to court, people would come and bring their problems in, you know, and I would just listen to them and help them hear each other, and then go to the judge and be like, hey, we have a solution. And I did find that really fulfilling and really cool. But it was, you know, this is better.
No, I've said it before, but starting a band with someone who studied conflict resolution is a key.
Dude, it's amazing. What an incredible asset to have.
Yeah, and I am really passionate about it, in that I really can't stand misunderstanding. Like, I feel like, you know, and I, you know, Tukker definitely brings this athletic intensity to the band that I think serves us really well. And I think I bring this like communicative intensity to the band that serves us really well, where I'm like, we're not going to leave until we at least hear each other and understand each other here. And at least even agree to disagree, but like, we're going to find our way to some kind of a, not necessarily always a solution, but we're
hyper communicative.
We're really communicative, and I just think that conflict is often an opportunity. And I think, that's something that will serve me forever. But I'm glad it's not my full-time job.
It's giving healthy.
What?
It's giving healthy.
It's giving healthy. Yeah.
Well, communication is healthy.
We were talking about yesterday with a friend of ours. We were just saying, like, we're getting a lot of really good training for a successful relationship.
Yes.
You know, from our relationship in a cool way.
Was this always Sofi Tukker, or did you guys think of other names before you went with your names?
Yeah, we thought of other names, but none of them were very good. And we were thinking too hard, I think.
Yeah. It was always Sofi. Like, Sofi Tukker was the one we landed on from the very beginning, from before we released music.
Yeah.
So it has always been Sofi Tukker, but Tukker Sofi just didn't feel as good.
No, it doesn't sound as good as Sofi Tukker.
as much as I wanted it. Because now...
I do feel like we should have put an and in between. Still.
No, I don't think it would flow as well.
Yeah.
No, I think Sofi Tukker's great.
I think it's cool. I mean,
just tricky for...
Most people, very casual, you know, people in the world who like have heard the name and know that Sofi Tukker is an artist with music, thinks Sofi Tukker is a girl named Sofi Tukker.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of like a name. But that was kind of the point. I remember when we were talking about it, I was like, it's really half of each of us, and it's like one unit. You're like one person. The problem is, people think it's a girl named Sofi Tukker. So sometimes it's like, oh yeah, there's Sofi. Who's the guy next to Sofi Tukker? I'm like, fuck.
But also, who gives a shit? It's working. And
No, I don't really
You're
give a
educating people in the process, right?
Yeah.
God, we're
Yeah.
making good money.
For sure.
We are. I've seen your apartment. It's nice.
Thank you. You've seen that
great.
spaghetti.
No, that's just, yeah, it's an expensive bowl of spaghetti. It's also expensive piece of real estate. And it's customized.
It is.
It's stunning. You should be very proud.
Thank you.
It's pretty fucking cool.
Thank you.
The universe definitely helped put you all on this path.
Thanks.
It's true. It's weird. Everything lined up. What are you thinking?
Last thing I have is you have an album named Bread, but you're both gluten free.
Yes, sir.
Weird.
Yeah, it's
Just
weird.
one more piece of irony that we kind of think is funny.
Yeah, like the truth is, I'm gluten free most days, but I'm
She's
not that strict.
the best gluten free.
No, and also like I'm not gluten free when I'm in Europe. It just all
Oh,
bets
you
are
can't
off.
do that.
No. So
Well, it's not. It's a different gluten over there.
exactly.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hit the same.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's nice there.
What do you got? Celiac disease? What's your
No,
vibe?
not celiac. Just inflammation. Literally from the
Oh,
time
no.
when I had to stop playing basketball. Damn. I'm like still trying to fully fix it. I'm on a couple different interesting medications. One I started last week actually. So we'll see.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm healthy enough to do this crazy, crazy life and this crazy schedule, and it could be so much worse. It's totally fine. No need to be sorry.
No, that's the right outlook. Genuinely. You're touring, right? Still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Santa Barbara tomorrow.
San Francisco,
San Francisco
the
the
next day.
next day.
Then we go to Europe. Or no, then we do Vegas, New York, Europe.
Cooking. Jeez.
Stay
Yeah.
cooking.
Yeah.
Stay busy.
Well, we'll put a link below if you want to see him on the road. Sofi Tukker. Bread. Listen to it. You good?
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are great.
You're great.
Well, real recognizes real. Sofi Tukker, everybody. Thanks for being here.